warm welcome to our fantastic panelists today, speakers, but also to our attendees that are slowly joining after the break that we have had for lunch in this first day of the European Educational Leadership Week, which is part of this broader European Education Month that ELNE is organizing, 2025, second year already, and very excited to see what the rest of the week brings us and the rest of the month as well. And today we are very excited to have with us the first inspiring showcases that have been selected this year as the most fantastic stories of success that we have called them, or good examples of how to build resilience in schools through collaborative leadership. So we have with us actually three examples from Finland, from Ireland, and with Albania, from Albania specifically, from the level of schools. So we have made a division when evaluating these inspiring showcases that we have received in what are those practices that are taking place at school level, what are those practices that are taking place at project level, and what are those research findings that have helped us go in this direction of building school resilience through collaborative leadership. So I will not dwell too much on this. I would like to begin hearing the fantastic practices from our speakers that are talking about stakeholder engagement, about student agency, and about cross-sector collaboration. So first of all, I would like to give the word to our colleagues from Finland, to Pauliina Rantavuori and Irjo Engelström, and I'm sure I destroyed those last names there, but they will have time to introduce themselves as well. And they are showing us how from the University of Tampere, but also the University of Eastern Finland, if I'm not mistaken.
Tampere University.
Tampere University, that's it, sorry. How they have fostered student agency through motivating them to pursue those interests that they have in this adolescent years. So Pauliina, Irjo, thank you very much, and the floor is.
So good afternoon for everyone. I'm Pauliina Rantavuori, and I'm a doctoral researcher from Tampere University.
Yes, and I'm Yrjö Engelström. I'm a professor emeritus at the University of Helsinki at the Faculty of Educational Sciences. And this, what we're talking about is our joint project that was carried out for over a period of 4 years, funded by the Academy of Finland. And the idea of this project is perhaps different from many other school development projects. Namely, we wanted to build on the agency and efforts of the students themselves to develop their own education. Our aim was to identify and test ways for adolescents to find and cultivate significance in their own lives. We understand the significance in terms of commitments and actions that connect adolescents' interest with activities and projects that promote a just and equitable world. In other words, we were not interested only in how each adolescent could find his or her own way, but how they might also find ways to contribute to others and to the wider world. And we used a specific intervention method called the Change Laboratory, which is based on cultural historical activity theory, which is our theoretical framework in this work. And here you see in this first slide, you see our research team, Pauliina and myself now are talking. We had also Pia Ruutu and Maria Tapola-Haapala in our research team. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Basically, in Finland, as in many other countries, we have this challenge that an increasing number of students, especially in their adolescent years, feel alienated in school. They don't find school anymore very meaningful. This is manifested in issues of school attendance, basically absenteeism, lack of interest and enthusiasm for education and specific contents of education, and also in the growing numbers of mental health problems among young people, not only in Finland but globally. Interestingly enough, Finland, which is known for good academic achievements in PISA tests, etc., at the same time ranks very low in student happiness. And there are achievement gaps between Finns and immigrant youngsters, and also gender disparities. Academic workload, examinations, and grading pressures contribute to the stress and burnout that students are increasingly experiencing in this age group. Also, it has been found in previous studies that Finnish students have quite limited opportunities to influence their own schooling and their own school experiences. So it seems to us rather clear that in a way, the educational practices have been built in such way that students, adolescents' own lives are not very well understood. In a way, we want to look into the dark side of the moon, which is often not really exposed in formal education. And of course, this is connected to the notion of powerlessness, a feeling of powerlessness, or not being able to influence one's own life. Let's move on. We drew on the work of Scott Atran, who is a well-known anthropologist and psychologist, who studied the question why in many European countries we have witnessed over the past years the phenomenon that young people are attracted to extremist ideas and often into rather dangerous violent ideologies. And he pointed out that the issue behind this kind of attraction is that adolescents often feel that they are not involved in making something that would be a purpose for their lives. And Atran suggests that to counteract this phenomenon, we need to first of all offer young people something that makes them dream of a life of significance, and secondly, offer a positive personal dream which has a concrete realization, possibilities of actually doing practically something. And the third condition would be that this all must be based on the local initiatives of the youngsters themselves. And so what we did was to build our research project on these starting points. Next slide, please. Our question was, can we create a space in school where students can actually learn to identify and pursue their own interests? And can we protect this space from such adult interference or control that might suppress the process? We know that adolescents and perhaps students more broadly do not necessarily have well-defined ideas of what is their guiding purpose in life. So in other words, they need a space to do searching. They need space to find their own interests and possibilities to influence their lives in society. That's why the project was called In Search for Significance. You cannot take for granted that students already know what is significant for them. So it's an unstable quest for what these youngsters truly want in life. And we must acknowledge that this takes time. And it is not something that we can quickly achieve. Yes, let's move on.
Yeah.
And
so
this is now Pauliina.
Yeah, thank you, Yrjö. So based on this need and background that Yrjö just presented, the crucial question was how can a life of significance be fostered among youth? And in our project, we put the adolescents as agents who are actually redesigning their activities. And this meant authorizing the adolescents' perspectives by inviting them to become authors of their lives. So we aim to foster a long-term perspective for students, encouraging collaboration throughout the entire school year with supportive adults who provide resources and information without controlling students and their projects. And we believe that these adolescents, that they could produce something quite significant that is important not only for themselves, but also for others and potentially vital for schools and society. So in these two change laboratories, adolescents had an opportunity together with the researchers to study different areas of their lives and the movement between these areas, identify their own strengths and resources, produce something that they view as significant, and develop new ways to influence issues that matter to them. And this was implemented by working on projects that were important to students. And in these two change labs, we had altogether 32 students, and they produced 11 different projects. And here you can see some pictures of the final products of students. And I think, as you can see, the variety of project was impressive. The topics range from coding a game and K-pop music to creating a video podcast about technology, designing a Kang hoodie, and bringing forth adolescents' voices. The final products included, for example, a booklet and posters, a documentary film, a Marvel poster, and a class council meeting. Through these projects, students collaborated with multiple people inside and outside the school, such as other students in school, principal, teachers, janitor, former president of Finland, a rap artist, and also people in printing companies. And then some important results we have found out during this project. Adolescents live in many interconnected worlds. Challenges related to these worlds and their interconnections and adolescent search for significance may often be ignored. We found out that the school is the most important source and host of manifestation of contradictions, and school provides an excellent platform for uniting these worlds and addressing the contradictions and conflicts that arise in them. These tensions should be turned into drivers and resources of joint elaboration and expansive learning. And implementing the change labs created a collaborative space where students, teachers, and researchers can collectively develop solutions to shared challenges. And the success of this practice shows that even within the constraints of school schedules and curriculum, there's still room for innovation and transformative learning in schools. Two schools where we conducted this research, they were strongly committed to exploring a new approach to learning that emphasizes students' ideas, transcending the limits of the curriculum and the pressures of testing and grading. The key issue was integrating students as active agents in their own learning. So students were no longer just recipients of knowledge. They became leaders of their own projects, and they were supported by teachers, researchers, external experts, and other stakeholders. And the findings also emphasize the significance of time and support, particularly for adolescent students in identifying and defining a meaningful object. And how Yrjö said in earlier in this presentation, it can be challenging, but it should be supported. And also the collaboration with multiple adults during these change labs highlights the significance of adult involvement, where adult support, respect, and trust students' initiatives and decisions rather than control them. Often, students' potential goes unnoticed in teacher-led instruction, but Change Lab demonstrates that schools can foster empowering activities that bring students' interest to the forefront. And this is an important indication of the potential of school to become a base and resource center for learning with a much broader scope than the contents of the traditional curriculum. And now, Yrjö, it's your turn to finalize our talk.
Well, we are pretty much at the end. Obviously, in the future, when we want to pursue this line of research further, one challenge is to actually connect the students' own interests more firmly and in a more durable way to the actual curricular contents, the teaching that goes on regularly. How to build this bridge is still a big challenge, because in these two schools, the teachers were willing to give the space to students for their own ideas, and this proved very fruitful, but still the connections to the normal teaching were relatively limited. So how to find those connections, how to build bridges between the required curricula and the students' own interests remains a big task. And it seems to us that this also means that there is much more emphasis in building durable partnerships between schools and their other stakeholders outside. In other words, this kind of interest can only be fostered if the students can see the wider world and enter the wider world, not only sit inside the classroom. This doesn't, of course, necessarily mean physically going out, but it means that there is an open interaction between the school and other actors in the society in service of this type of learning. We also want to emphasize that this is not an easy approach for teachers and adults in general, because we are all trained to basically to control rather than to allow unexpected ideas to come from the students and to support them. So this is at least as much a learning challenge to teachers and researchers and school officials and parents than it is for the youngsters themselves.
Thank you very much, Paulina and Yrjö. It was really inspiring, and actually these last discussion points that we had there on the screen sparked me with some more questions as well. So I would like to encourage all the attendees to drop their questions in the chat, which also we can continue answering through the chat throughout the rest of the webinar. But I wanted to ask myself, using the opportunity that I have being the chair of this webinar, you were mentioning just now, Yrjö, that indeed these two schools where you carried out this project, they allowed to do this, to implement this project and to give this empowerment to the adolescents to pursue these interests that they have. But you were advising now to, for example, strengthen these partnerships with the local community and with other stakeholders for making this more of a regular practice. But what advice would you give, and Paulina, for schools where teaching methods are a bit more traditional or curricula is a bit more strict? How can they start? What would be the first step to implement this practice, to spread it around?
Well, I think the starting point for doing this kind of change to traditional classroom is to trust the students, like those schools where we were conducting this research. The school staff, they were really willing to welcome new ideas to
And
construct.
I would add to that in many countries, including Finland, curriculum makers and decision makers have kind of noticed the need for something like this. So, for instance, in the Finnish comprehensive school curricula, there is now something like a space for some thematic instruction which crosses across different subjects. And these usually are very difficult for teachers to actually implement this kind of new opportunities. So perhaps we should use those little openings that are already in curricula in many countries and look into how we could create even small examples of not just turning these new opportunities into another form of sort of teacher-led instruction, but to open up them as possibilities for students themselves to create something. And this is it doesn't have to be big, but there must be some examples that can then be looked at by others and used as springboards for similar development. So I think that you're quite right. You cannot start at the sort of wholesale change. You have to start with finding the cracks that already are there.
Yes, thank you so much for that. And in the meantime, some of our attendees, which actually some of them are part of the research committee, as I mentioned before, of ELNE, they have dropped their questions in the chat. Because of time, we will take one, but if you could, Paulina, I urge you also engage in the chat afterwards and reply to some of these questions. And I will go with this first question here, which says, how will you define mission of education and resilience based on your own effort? So based on this fantastic practice that you presented to us, what is your perspective on what is the mission of education and school resilience?
As a very quick question, I'd say that we tend to be a little bit too naive and optimistic about the state of education. I would say that education is the formal education, the school systems are at risk today. Increasingly because, first of all, the forces of technology are such, and the forces of commercialization of knowledge are such that it's becoming increasingly likely that schools are considered relatively irrelevant, and that competing forms of education are offered, which in a way can actually demolish what we understand as a school. And we've seen this examples of this can be seen, for instance, in the United States quite widely. And I think that for the school to become resilient in this kind of field of forces that is dominated by artificial intelligence or various forms of social media, I think the school must find all the allies that it can. The school cannot survive alone. The school must find allies that are working for the common good, and it must build on the energy of students. That this is the greatest resource we have. It's the young people themselves, and we just haven't started to even build on that resource in a serious way. I think that our discovery was that there's huge potential among youngsters, which is just not realized.
Yeah, thank you so much, Irjo. And your message just now really reminds me of what our colleague from the student representation said this morning in the opening ceremony, that indeed we need to look at the young people. We need to listen to them, not just invite them, but hear what they have to say and really work together, not in silos, but all of us together. And that is what ELNE is all about. So once again, thank you very much for sending us your inspiring showcase and for coming here to spread the word a bit more. And I hope that these step-by-step advices that we discussed a little bit now will encourage others to replicate your practice. I would like to move on now to our second inspiring showcase of the day, coming all the way from Ireland. Thank you, Irja. Thank you, Paulina. And we have Mary Walsh O'Shea from the Waterford and Wexford Education and Training Board in Ireland, presenting the good practice use of immersive technologies to achieve teaching, learning, and assessment for healthcare assistants completing accredited modules. So I will give you the floor, Mary, and I will share the screen for you, if that's okay.
There's technology. I'm going to talk about technology, and here's technology. Good afternoon, everybody. And my name is Mary Walsh O'Shea. And if we just move to the second slide there, just a little bit of information about myself. And I work with Waterford and Wexford Education and Training Board, and I am an adult education officer responsible for part-time and full-time certified programs, which offers learners the opportunity to gain accreditation in the many subject areas. I also manage the adult educational guidance and information service, and I suppose that particular service provides a lot of information around courses across all the sector. So if we just go to the next slide, then just to give you context. So my, I suppose, context is really in adult education, and just Waterford and Wexford Education Training Board is a statutory regional education and training authority for counties Waterford and Wexford in Ireland. Within its remit, it has responsibility for 15 multi-denominational and co-educational schools with over 6,000 students. It also has responsibility for further education and training across Waterford and Wexford, which includes full and part-time courses, and also manages the local state provision of apprenticeships. And I suppose where this use of immersive technology, this is in the FET provision. And we'll go on to the next slide then. And this gives you an overview of FET and what we offer within our further education and training service within WWETB. You can see the further ed side of the house, and you can see the training as well. So it just sends some photographs of the kind of activities that we have. So the next slide, why the virtual hospital? Why did we go down this route of bringing immersive technology? So I was thinking about this yesterday, and this is going back since 2019, 2020, when I was a program coordinator, and it was really the end of a program, and we were looking at the evaluation of the program. And interestingly, a number of learners said that they had been out on work experience, and they felt that they required more experience, and they also felt that they wanted to be carrying out these kind of tasks within a hospital room. And they spoke about, why can't we have a hospital room in our centres? And because I had experienced virtual reality 6 months before that, kind of the idea was jumping in my head, well, why can't we have a virtual hospital room? And to fit out a hospital room, a physical hospital room in all of our FET centres would be a big operation. But I felt maybe the virtual hospital room would be a solution to this. So go to the next slide then. So we had decided we would choose 2 scenarios which are part of the full award for the healthcare assistants, and they're part of activities of living patient care and care skills, which are 2 mandatory modules of that full award. And before we kind of could do anything, we had to have stakeholder engagement. I had to do a bit of market research, because while I knew what a headset was, I didn't really know what was out there already, if this had been developed already. Did we have to go and do bespoke content for these kind of modules? Or what would we need from a software point of view? And the big question for us, I suppose, in our ETB was, if we're capturing assessment, what do we have to do within virtual reality to ensure that we carry all the standards for accreditation the same way you would do for traditional methods? So all of those kind of questions had to be asked. So I had dialogue meetings with QQI, which is Quality and Qualifications Ireland, and the body that accredits a lot of our programs. I did some research with some people who are involved in the immersive sector. I checked to see with companies what was out there, because there's some virtual reality content that you can license. But then I had a kind of, I suppose, a test market research within 3 companies that provided some information on, is this possible to be able to create bespoke content? And then we, you know, is it really something that they can do? And how does it align to the needs of the program, and particularly around curriculum and educational frameworks and, I suppose, theories as well? There was costs, the time frame, and where do we go now? So the idea was that we would develop a storyboard, myself and a teacher who was teaching in the healthcare developed a storyboard, but we knew we needed to go further than just a storyboard. We would have to pull on other areas as well within the education training board that we work in to actually get that. You can never kind of do these things solo. While I might have led the project, we also had a number of people who were involved. So if we go to the next slide, you can see it's just giving you, so that I've given you a lot of text there, so you can see a picture of Mary Sue, our patient, sitting up in the bed, getting ready to have her temperature taken. And this is under the scenario and skills demonstration of carry out a care check on a patient. And I just have an explanation there. She's going to take the body temperature. Now you can see hands there in that particular visual, but if we have within the actual app that we have, and PulseX, or we have a practice mode, a revision mode, and an exam mode. So the exam mode, and this is what tied back to the accrediting body, we have to be able to let the external examiner see the learner in the environment. And you're seeing an avatar of somebody working in an environment, and they're speaking and they're talking, and this is all captured. But for an external authenticator, they need to be able to see that. So if we go on to the next slide, then you can see, which is Patrick, our patient, who is getting a bed bath. So this actual scenario was a little bit more difficult because we have, you know, there's basins on one side, but there's an actual assistant within the room as well in the form of an avatar helping the learner carry out that. So there's that feeling of really being immersed in, I suppose, a hospital room with all of the things that is required to carry out that particular demonstration. So if we go to the next slide, then this is the navigation dashboard that the learner goes into. You can see there's tutorial, which allows the learner, and this will fall into what I'm going to talk about later on around an onboarding session of how to utilize the technology. But all of this kind of information had to be developed when we were working on the whole stakeholder and market research and everything that we needed before we could go forward. So this is when they have the headset on, this is what they see, the tutorial, and then the patient care where they click on, and they'll have the 2 demonstrations within that, and then it's just the credits of the people that were involved. So now if we go to the next slide, who was involved in this project? Who was involved with me? So the innovation manager and the FET director, obviously I had to go and get funding and put in a proposal for funding for that. And the procurement officer was involved to develop the actual tender, the e-tender. I was the project lead, and there were teachers and coordinators of the program. We needed IT support to help us around even uploading some of the recordings up onto our OneDrive. There was a member of the quality assurance team, which was helping us ensure that we carry out with all the standards, that it can't be any different to the traditional actual, we'd say, simulation, because it still had to have the same level of standards to get the qualification. We had someone from the communications and marketing team to help us around branding within the hospital room. And then the company was a Waterford-based company called Imagine. So just, you know, we're talking about collaboration, we're talking about stakeholders, we're talking about agency. You have to have a number of people involved to actually, I suppose, produce something. And when we talk about collaboration, you're talking about taking everybody's, I suppose, point of view and hopefully having an end product that actually suits the audience and takes, I suppose, everybody into account. So now the next slide, please. So where are we now? So at the moment, we have a virtual hospital room which is being used to teach, learn and assess learners. So we've gone through our external authentication process last June. We've had learners being assessed within this virtual hospital room. We've had the external authenticator tell us that they were very, very impressed. But what they were actually impressed with was how the teacher utilized a model of reflection to allow the learner to reflect on their learning within the immersive room as well, which shows you the importance of, I suppose, the traditional methods, but also bringing technology and integrating technology with methods that have been used. It has travelled to Dublin to attend the World Skills, where young students have engaged with it. So World Skills, you may have known about, but World Skills Ireland brings together enterprise, industry, education, training and government, which highlights the profile and recognition of skills and apprenticeships. And this particular, we've been there for 2 years, but this particular event is fantastic. And we have met thousands upon thousands of secondary school students. And the first year I was at that event, I was really, really taken by a young girl who was in a queue, and I noticed the queue and I noticed that she was a little bit, I suppose, distracted, and I wondered what was going on. And then she ran off and I was thinking, oh, wonder what happened. But she came back down and she said, I needed to check and see if my bus was going to be around because I really want to try this. I want to see, is this something I'm going to do? I'm thinking of becoming a nurse. So she put the headset on and she was in there as such for about 10 minutes, and she came out and she was really, really impressed with this immersive hospital room because she felt she was really caring for a patient. So roll on, that was 2023. So roll on 2024, I decided that I would do a survey with young people, just no personal information, just questions. What do you think of immersive technologies? How do you think it fits into secondary school? Would it help with subject choices? Would it help with course choices in the sense of college? Would it help with career? And 59 out of 60 people, out of 60 students said it would be positive. And they were all about the actual, this whole thing. The one person that didn't actually feel it would be beneficial was somebody that struggled with the navigation of the technology, somebody that just found, probably within the number of minutes that she had to use it, it was just too short a time to actually be able to use and to be comfortable using technology. But even that one person is more important to me than the 59 people, because it's something that we have to take into account when we're actually implementing something, or any other education providers, when you're implementing what we could say a novel technology, you do really need to think about it. So I mentioned before, and I am managing the adult guidance service in Waterford and Wexford. And this has been a catalyst for Barry, who is our guidance counsellor in Wexford, to do market research around engaging with virtual reality within the space of adult guidance. And we work with 16-year-olds, people who have left school, or people who are thinking, we have a lot of young people who have left school, we're not sure what they want to do, and they're just thinking. So we're looking at that as an opportunity to maybe give young people the chance to think about what career they want to do or what course they want to do. So that's just, I suppose, a few points there. So if we go on to the next slide, and that's actually just a student at the World Skills with Selena and trying. You can see in the background, I'm not sure if you can see the hand up underneath the I suppose the dryer, but you can see that they're completely engaged in this whole and I was really, really amazed with how appreciative the young people were of actually trying this out, even though that wasn't our target thing for this particular implementation. It was giving people the opportunity to train as healthcare assistants. But it just shows you, we were just really, really, and we were delighted to be there last year as well. So then the next slide gives you, again, some acknowledgement of the use of this technology. We were put into a government document. I am a member of Immersive, and they're the voice of the immersive sector in Ireland, and I was part of the working group, and our case study in WWETB was put into this document to show government how immersive technology has been used in education. And that particular working group had 42 people made up of higher education, further education, non-profit, industry, and even the voluntary sector, who are really thinking about engaging with the likes of virtual reality or augmented reality. We're also finalists in the Education Awards for Best Use of Technology ICT initiative this year, which we're delighted, because I think it's recognition of the work, not from me, but the people who have worked with me in bringing this to the classroom, because there was a lot of, I suppose there was a lot of people were doing stuff outside of their work time to even ensure that we had this ready for people as well to actually use it in the classroom. So I suppose it's recognition of their work as well. And my last slide, I think, is really important, because I've tried to capture a couple of things in this around things we need to think about going forward. But the consideration for schools and education providers, these are the areas for me. Costs, it is costly. But then if you look at it against traditional methods, is the cost important if you look at what people are learning, or people actually, I suppose, achieving learning goals, and does it add value to education? You need to align it with curriculum and pedagogy. You just don't decide today, I'm going to use virtual reality, augmented reality. You need to think, how does it fit into the curriculum? How does that work with, I would be putting with experiential learning, constructivist approach? Where does this work? And for a teacher to be aware of how it works as well. The digital infrastructure, we have found that as well. We're onto IT a lot, just around things. We're checking things because there was a particular app developed, and we have separate laptops for it. We just have to check things, everything. We have the proper support, and there's all that stuff that needs to happen. Staff training. Training for staff is so important, because some people they don't know anything about. There's a lot of hype around virtual reality and augmented reality, but actually on the ground, not many people know how to use it, or even have ever put on a headset. So I think you have to get your staff ready to use it, because if not, you're really kind of asking someone to use something that they're not comfortable with. It's not going to be a positive experience for either them or the learners in the classroom. It needs to be, if you're wanting, for us particularly because it was healthcare, you need to align it with industry needs. And we had to make sure that it was in line with the actual qualification that's there. We did speak with, even when we had our launch last February, we had a nurse who we were working with, and she spoke about the opportunities for this type of technology to allow people to practice skills that they may not get the opportunity if they were in work experience, because some hospitals are busy. Sometimes there's not always chances and opportunities for people to actually practice skills. Stakeholder engagement, and it can be that for us, we had to do that bit of market research. But if we're doing this on a national level in any country, that the government, we need to look at policies around that. We need to be developing the digital infrastructure. So all the stakeholders that are involved in that area need to come together, and we all need to work together. The more collaborative that we are in this area, the more we can produce and develop and get, I suppose, really effective content. Access for all. When we were developing this, I asked our access officer, Roz, to work with me just around even somebody using this that might have sensory issues, the whole idea of having some kind of text for people. You can't, again, decide to have a technology that's going to have a divide in the sense of some people can't use it. And one of the things that has actually happened with one of our learners, they had the actual voice that's going on in the background for the practice. This person found that difficult enough, so we had to turn down the volume of that. So we have to ensure that it's accessible to everybody, and that we have it in a way that, you know, you might have to fine tune it a particular way for certain learners, students. Onboarding, so important, because for staff, for learners, we've had to add maybe an extra couple of hours onto our module to ensure that learners are comfortable using. So it's so easy to just have your mannequin there and just work on it, compared to actually putting a headset And the whole, and I'm actually doing research myself on this. I'm for my doctorate, I'm examining the efficacy of immersive technologies in achieving learning outcomes, and I have to compare against traditional method. Is this actually going to achieve learning outcomes, or is it causing more problems for somebody? Funding options. There has to be a way of getting funding, I suppose, for those kind of technology. They are costly, and schools don't have them. Even in further education, like lifelong learning. If we're going to continue to look at lifelong learning as a real area for people to upskill, to become confident, to participate in society, then we need to look at having proper funding structures in place. So that's really, I think, all of my slides. And if anybody has any questions, or if you have any question for me.
Thank you so much, Mary. And I'm very happy to hear that not only you went above and beyond to hear from the students themselves what they thought of this implementation of virtual reality and digital technologies in general, but also that you're thinking of already scaling up and giving it that other, let's say, mission of trying to support the students in finding their career paths. And I really, that stuck with me. And we have some questions in the chat and in the Slido as well, which we will be pasting in the chat for you, Mary, if you can engage with the audience there. But now, because of time constraints, we will move on with Aida and come back later with all three speakers. So we move on now to Albania with Aida Lumshi from the Center of School Leadership, if I'm not mistaken, that will be presenting the use of microbit in teaching to promote critical thinking among students in solving real life problems. So Aida, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Aida. After the first slide, I will introduction myself. It's a good chance and possibility to attend and to be the part of these webinars about school resilience, best practice in school level. I have a motto in my work: to be a teacher of the century 21st. It's not just a challenge, it's a multiplied challenge. This is my motto that attend all in my work. Introduction for myself. I am one of ambassadors of eTwinning Albania, one of the trainers about the coding programs with different tools in different programs. For example, with Microbit, Arduino, CodyMonkey, Cody program in the 3rd grade that implement in our school in the primary level of our schools. Biology and chemistry teachers for 24 years. Actually, the school director of the 9th grade school in Elbasan, in the center of the Albania. My city is in the center of in my states. Ambassadors of eTwinning platforms in Europe from 2017. TOT for new ambassadors, representatives for Albania and the other network. British Council trainer for the 7 years e-coding programs, and the national and international trainer in STEAM programs. The visions of my work, that attend all my work, is to provide quality educational experience in order to enable my student to achieve a complete intellectual, physical, emotional, social, culture, and more development. I attend the motto that every child should get to the school satisfactory self-fulfillment in order to be responsible and contribute as a member of democratic society. Okay. I would like to share my experience in my school, because with the implementation of the coding programs with different tools, as I mentioned, with Microbit and Arduino, we attempt to solve many problems and to help and support the student to be aware to solve the problem in the real life. And these initiatives help all the school, all the target group in the school, as an example, the pupils, the community, the teachers, to integration the microbit technology in the teaching process, in teaching methodology for schools, and to create resource and materials to help the teachers to integrate the RISI and innovation in teaching methodology, and the student help the pupils, the other pupils and the other teachers to create the different tools, for example, the didactic materials, and help the pupils and the teachers. It's like a symbiosis with the target group, and in the other part, help community to solve the problems in the real life. For example, in the photo, this is a project that the humidity of the soil create from the pupils, measured by the pupils, help the communities or the schools to protect the water from the hot temperature, and to help them to be uh, to be very protected in hot climate. This is a form of creating collaborative methods, and this project bridges gaps in traditional education and prepares students for the real change words. In school, this support application of these projects by creating and providing didactic tools help the teachers materials to create some tools, practical demonstration experiments, and problem solving activity for a variety of subjects, including maths, physics, biology, arts, music, physical education, ICT, geography, and to promote some skills, some technological skills about touristic guide. For example, the coding club of the pupil that are built, that you see in the slide, help all the teachers to create some math tools, for example, the dice, for example, to measure the temperature. In physics, to measure the intensity of the light, the level of the light, and be some helpful awareness that the light will be put off, switch off, if the light real in the environment is fulfilled, and to economize the electricity. In biology, there are some tools that built from the coding club of the pupils that help the pupils the teachers to do the improvise or to implement it some practical experiment. For example, flashing card. For example, to measure the temperature of the plant, the humidity of the plant. And these are some didactic tools that help the pupils and the teachers to be the practicals with these coding programs very easily to understand the knowledge. In the musical, can create the piano, can create the guitars, some tools that helps the pupils to act in practical activity in the class. In physical educations, some tools that measures as measure the number of the steps that pupils can act in physical education, in different activity during the physical education. In the geography, some tools, for example, that help to orientation of the pupils in the different different environment that have no knowledge about the orientation. That is some tools that help the teachers to act and to promote the different activity. To build a smart city that help all the community to be the better activity for the futures, and to help them how to protect the environment, the climate change, how to act in the road, or how to promote the touristic guide some element that the place offered about them. What was the challenge that need to be overcome? By coding programs began with simple projects led by the principal, for example, by me as a school principals. We would like to address some practical school needs. For example, we conduct it result that in the school, the staff, teachers, and the student capacity, there is very little effort to engage in coding the microbit programs. We see the enthusiasm, in fact, in coding club of the school that are built by mixing pupils from level of the 6 classes to 9 classes in different ages, and we see that they have capacity, they have enthusiasm to build the different idea based on the problems that acting in the school. And we would like to encourage teachers to be part of coding together with students. In the school, there are 8 teachers, in fact, that are training by these programs and use the simple programs, in fact. But if they encourage or motivating them to be part of coding systematically, they will be the expert in the futures. Creating opportunities to exchange experience with colleagues from different through Code Week platforms. There are many initiatives from Code Week platforms in Europe that we are all the part of this initiative. All the teachers are the part, and we take some certificate about all the project or the ideas, different or new ideas, and to be the part of Code Week platforms is a great possibility to promote the school in the European map of this initiative. Applying microbit in lessons and some school activities. With regional activities, for example, in PANA years, in activity competition activities, etc. Creating teacher tools for specific subjects, as we mentioned. Promoting the use of ICT digital skills as foreigners' language. Continuous professional development of teachers in the futures. How was the project implementing and who took part in this project? Students expand their scope, finding solution for broad challenging in family and social life. For example, a problem that we identified in our schools, we motivate the pupils to find solutions during using microbit or other tools of, other tools coding to solve the problems with that idea and promoting this idea in the community. This is the program enthusiastic, enjoying relaxed, creative environment and encourage collaboration and experimentation. That they quickly become adept at coding, proposing imaginative solutions, and help codings as school cultures, in fact. And if it is possibility, we'd like to be awarded about this different activity that happened in our school. And in my city, the school is called the microbit school, based on the traditionals, the culture that is created in them. Students develop skills, digital literacy, collaboration, creativity, imaging of coding school in the initiative successful. Benefits: the adoption of microbit and coding improve the quality of teaching and learning. Student and teacher collaborative create teaching tools for practical demonstration in various subjects. The coding programs, introduction, interactive and hand-on methods, making lesson more engaging and effective. This initiative raised awareness about productive use, the internet and digital tools, a new perspective, how to use the technology, in fact, not to be in the social network as a part of enthusiastic, but the internet to use in the form of education. How was the introduction of coding influenced teacher professionals? And the teacher of my staff, in fact, are the part of the training or professional developments, and with the project that built in the maquette, they take part in different activity. For example, in our country, now in the initiative of Ministry of Education, the teachers that are the master teachers that acting as 20 years in teachings, they will acting as a form of qualification with a project, and in the project there are the main part of qualification, research and innovation, and the teachers have this capacity to demonstrate this innovation because they are the part of microbit as a part of culture of the school, and to demonstrate with the mini project, mini idea, with a big project of the school that promotes before or in front of community or commissions that are part of educational regionals and the part of community. Teachers have many additional training effectively and take part with enthusiasm. In fact, there are some sessions that act in the training in the school as a part of the professional development. Some example of critical thinking or problem solving that the pupils acting with the project.
Today we're going to talk about the protection of chestnuts. So this project has been made to make the community aware of the problems that surrounds the chestnut of the zone, such as people cutting and burning this tree, and also some infectious diseases and parasites that have been stuck to it. The goals that we're trying to reach in this project are the balanced and stable developing of the place, coordination of activities on a local or regional level, the creation of a network with public sectors, companies, and also donators. We really hope that through this project, we will not only make the community aware of the benefits and threats that surround the chestnut, but outsiders as well.
Today I am going to talk to you about the chestnut of Nakaimoturi. But please, before I introduce you to its remarkable work and extraordinary value, I am going to show you the problems and threats currently surrounding it and currently damaging it. One of which is, unfortunately, us, the humans. The humans who are cutting and burning and using for building material this tree.
There are some examples that the protection of the tree by cutting by the pupils, and there are many projects and many ideas that help the community and to be supportive about the schools, about educational of the pupil, to protect and to prevent the climate change. There are many projects that in the link that we'll share by recording. Maybe you can see the project, the idea, the mini idea, and to promote in different big project and to share this experience in the community. And there are some experiments or the work during the microbit experiments that act in the coding lab activity, and based on some simple experiment, practical, and to give the big idea of the best projects that are related with the different subjects. For example, in physical educations, to measure some measure, for example, some steps, some element peak of the ball, etc., that are the part the project. The smart city that creates some helpful about a community, and the other part the emotionals of the pupils that see by the teachers in the door. After clicking the button A in the microbit, they show how is their emotional for today, and other projects. Some activity that happened in about climate change, and about protecting temperature, humidity, intensity of the light, etc., etc. And this culture that are created in our school, promotion our school in different regional event competitions. For example, in Code Week in Brussels happens conference, international conference, and we share the best experience based on this project, and to take part in competitions in different programs or different agency that we applied. And the other part, some certificates for teachers and pupils that acting in Code Week after registers the projects. And this is very enthusiastic about the pupils that acting in the pandemic situation. In fact, because we work together in online event, and they register event and creating their activity, and the final they take part in the coolest project that are the part of European projects Code Week. We help the teachers with the link that are shown in the slide, webinars about the teachers how to use the microbit in this in some practical experiments in family coding. You can see this, and I can share them in the chat. In fact, you can attend me these webinars that acting about 1 hours with different examples, practical, with related with family coding, and help community them to be more easier to use microbit. And this is the page of the coding club of our school, and we share our experience with the others partners of Code Week in the Europe. And some advice about the programs and the school leadership that will help the teachers in the future about professional development. The focus is based on the number of the teachers, to increase the number of the teachers that take part in these programs, and to be the part of national coding competitions, and supporting of all stakeholders and benefits in practical in the school. And the school leader would create some facilities to teachers to engage them in some activity that are easily, and to coordinate with the hour that they teach, and the practical activity in the teaching methodology. And based on the plan professional development, they will give more and more innovation programs. A moment during the teachers take part the professional or the trainer or the training during with microbit or Arduino, online or physical. And some advice from national education policies recommendation, in fact, to change some structure of a facility for teachers, to promote the teachers that are the part of the prize or the awarded the part of the school. Future regulation of the number of the hour they're teaching, because the teachers are very engagement about the teaching methodology and other project, and to the number of the hours to be more to increase, to decrease, sorry, and to give them a budget maybe in the futures about the awarded or to performance of the regional school performance of the to be the best. If they have the budget about these teachers, they will interpret it, or the performance will be very active or the best. some educational activity panels. The number of the teachers that take part in different programs, you can see in the ICT club are the 6 teachers. The number of the parents included are 7, and the student 43. The staff of the coding lab that support the pupils during acting activity. Thank you. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Aida. Thank you very much. And we can see how the school earned the title of the microbit school in Albania. It was very impressive how you integrated really across all of those different subjects. And the chat has been very active as well during your presentation. Unfortunately, we only have a couple of minutes left, and we have another webinar taking place now at 4. So I wanted to use this couple of minutes to thank again, firstly, our presenters, also our research committee, who is partially present here in the audience, that pointed out all of your good examples as inspiring indeed, and amazing, scalable and transferable and sustainable practices that we needed to really share with a wider audience. They will as well be published in the ELNE journal that will be coming out this month. So we hope that as well it reaches the other education stakeholders of the ELNE community that couldn't be present here today. And I would like to invite you all to join us to the next webinar at 4, which is From the Digitalization of Education to Education-Led Digitalization. It's a conversation between teachers, parents, and students, and it's taking place at 4 p.m. in the link that I just shared in the chat. So once again, thank you all, and we'll see each other soon, I'm sure. Bye-bye. Have a good rest of your day.